Hey guys! Today I just felt in the mood to talk about some of my favorite plants that I feel are great additions to really anyone's collection. Most of these are plants that I feel get skipped over and aren't as frequently talked about for whatever reason. Please leave a comment down below letting me know if these are plants you have or haven't heard of before. But before we get into the plants, huge thank you to Mudwater for making this video possible. Basically, Mudwater is a coffee alternative with 4 adaptogenic mushrooms and Ayurvedic herbs. Something I was noticing with coffee is it was leaving me kind of jittery and anxious. Once I made the switch to Mudwater, I genuinely have felt such a huge difference. How I drink my Mudwater is I just add a tablespoon to a hot cup of water, and then I like to add a little bit of honey. The ingredients they use are 100% USDA certified organic, non-GMO, gluten-free, and vegan, as well as being kosher and Whole30. Few of the ingredients that they use: cacao, lion's mane, chai. Some of the benefits that stand out to me are increased focus, which is the #1 thing I have noticed as a result of drinking Mudwater first thing in the mornings. Not only that, but their tins are recyclable. If you'd like to give it a go, you can get 15% off their starter kit by using my link down in the description box and using my code for 15% off their starter kit. So it really is worth a shot, you guys. I highly recommend it. #1 plant on this list is actually a newer one to my collection. I've only had it for about a week and a half now, but you guys, it has quickly become one of my favorites, and that is a passiflora trifasciata. It is also called a duckfoot vine because it has like cute 3-lobed little leaves, and personally I think they look like dinosaur feet, but it doesn't matter. It has grown since I've gotten it, so those like lighter colored leaves on the tips of all of the vines are the new growths. What I love about these is they're excellent like climbers, so I do plan to give this thing a really cool trellis. Those little twirly tendril vine things, I don't even know if my camera will be able to pick them up because they're so delicate, but they really will just grab onto anything. It's really cool to see, so I'm so excited to see where this goes. And not only that, the coloring of this one is beautiful. Dark green, light green, and then the undersides of the leaves are kind of purple. There's just something about that that I really love. I find a purple leaf underside super attractive. Ooh, it's a good one. So far I have found this plant to like higher levels of light, and it doesn't like to dry out too much. I accidentally let it over dry before watering it since I've had it, and a couple of the leaves did turn yellow and fall off because it was too dry. So definitely on the thirstier side, but I've only had to water it once since I got it a week and a half ago, so not too bad. Next up is a kalanchoe marnieriana. Marnieriana. This is a plant that I've loved since my beginning plant days. There's just really nothing about this plant I don't like. Okay, well, wait, actually there is one thing I don't like. I'll get into that in a second, but it's not a huge deal. Anyway, I love the round leaves. I think it's so beautiful. The color of this is like super minty, almost like blue, and it gets really beautiful like hot pink or kind of purpley depending on what kind of light it gets, tips to the leaves. And I will say, I think that this is like a great dupe for the look of a eucalyptus plant. If you have pets and can't keep eucalyptus plant because you know eucalyptus is extremely toxic, even the scent of eucalyptus, how many times can I say eucalyptus in a row? Even the scent of eucalyptus is toxic to dogs. So if you can't keep that plant because you have pets, or because I personally find it to be a super difficult plant, so maybe you do too, but if you still love the look of it, this plant I feel is an excellent dupe for that. Yes, the growth pattern is a little bit different, but it's so cute. I love it. And it's so easy to care for. I keep mine next to a north window. It has done very well. And what I love about kalanchoe is how it grows the little babies on the edges of the leaves. So it's a great plant to get if you want to be able to like gift plants to friends, or even sell them or swap them, or just propagate to make your plant more full or your collection / home more plant filled. It's a great one for that. The one thing I don't like about this plant is it throws out these aerial roots, which they're hot pink and really cute, but for as much as I actually like them, I have started to cut them off the plant because I really found that, especially where this plant is like kind of wild and unruly as it grows, it doesn't just like grow like this, it just kind of goes everywhere, it wanders a little bit. These freaking aerial roots were digging their way very quickly into neighbor plants instead of having to like untangle them from neighbor pots, neighbor planters. I find it easier to just cut them back, and my plant is fine. It's grown really well still. Yeah. That's the only downside. Super easy and super beautiful. Next up is a variegated philodendron giganteum. I think I said that right. Probably not. This plant is just so beautiful. It has a very similar growth pattern to the Jose Buono. It's just a more variegated, like a lighter colored variegated plant. So where I do feel like it's pretty similar to the Jose Buono, I actually think it stands out more than the Jose Buono. I find it to be a very, very easy variety, incredibly mottled and awesome. So the one I'm actually gonna be showing you, you know what, let me go get my bigger one. I realized that the tiny one leaf propagation I showed on my B-roll is not going to do this plant justice. So I decided to grab my slightly larger one. But would you look at that? Right? Why? Like, I can't even say anything about it. I just feel like it's so obvious why this plant is on this list. So underrated, so easy, like one of my more low maintenance plants, especially as far as variegated, more uncommon or rare plants go. Oh my gosh. Why don't people talk about this more? Wow, I kind of want it to live right here permanently. All right, next up is actually live sphagnum moss. So this is kind of something I've gotten very obsessed with. Best Grow New Zealand sphagnum moss actually comes back to life if you give it the proper, I mean, it's not like too picky, but as long as you're giving it high enough light and adequate levels of moisture, it will revive itself and turn into this really cute, unique plant. I'm so excited for it to get like really big and take over the whole thing. So it's just like a big terrarium of live moss. I love sphagnum moss. I freaking love sphagnum moss. It's so cool. How does it revive itself? I don't even know if this like fern thing in the middle is part of the sphagnum moss, but that actually also revived out of the dried sphagnum. So I don't know. It's just, honestly, it's been a very, very rewarding and fun plant to watch because it's like, what's gonna pop out next? A freaking orchid? I don't know. Next, we have a plant I've definitely mentioned and talked about a few times on my channel, and it is philodendron rugosum. It's so unique, the texture of these leaves. They're like scales, or you know, it's also called, what's it called? Pigskin? Because of it like has football texture. I feel like usually the more climbing type philodendrons have like very elongated leaves most of the time, but this one has quite chubby leaves and I love it so much. I have absolutely nothing bad to say about this plant. It's so easy. I do find it can actually tolerate a little bit lower levels of light. So I have mine pulled like 8 feet back from a north window, so pretty low light in my opinion, and it has done fine. The newest leaf it popped out is quite big. Such a cool plant, very, very unique in my opinion. Next on the list is an OG of my channel, and it is my Tahitian bridal veil vine. This, you guys, is the plant that got me obsessed with plants. I had had plants in my home, don't get me wrong, but when I went plant shopping at J&J Nursery one time, and I saw this beautiful bad boy, super long, lush, bushy plant, I like was hooked and I wanted those hanging pretty much everywhere in my house. Like the passiflora previously, this plant also has purple undersides, so it's just really cool to be able to see like flashes of purple in the deep green leaves. And something else cool about this plant is depending on the amount of light you give it, the leaves can get super, super dark green or a little bit lighter green. Right now, mine is leaning more light green, but if I were to give it a little bit less light, then they would darken up a little bit. Mine's actually not in bloom right now. It does have some of the buds, but when it blooms, it's just like the purple and green, fluffy looking full plant. And then it just has these super delicate little white pops everywhere because the blooms are very, very small and like stark white. It's so pretty. I think it's a very fun plant. As far as care goes, I think it does a little bit better in like indirect light. I can tolerate a little bit of direct light, but just be careful with it. I also have found it to be a little bit thirstier of a plant. Next time I go to repot it, I'm actually going to pot it into a more dense soil mix, so I'm not having to water it as often. If you don't water it enough, pieces of the plant turn brown and the leaves kind of fall off, and you'll be able to see in the B-roll, that's how my plant is right now. So I definitely need to adjust something, my soil mix, to make it a little bit easier to keep up with. But other than that, like I really love this plant. I think everybody should have it in their collection. It's so fun and so cute. Back to philodendrons, I wanted to mention the upright lemon lime philodendron. So vibrant and really unlike, I think I have 2 other vines that are similarly green colored. So I have the neon pothos and lemon lime, or not lemon lime. Yeah, lemon lime heartleaf. Yeah. It is very similar to the color of those plants, except I do think it leans a little more yellow. Again, this is one that I actually have two of them. So one of mine is growing up very well because I have the light source from above. One of mine is growing out because I have it under a long grow light, and it's just kind of trying to find, I don't know what it's looking for, but it's crawling all over the place on my dresser, and it's so cool to see. I love wild, weird plants like that. This is a good one. Very, very easy, can tolerate some neglect, and I feel like it does well in lower light as well. Propagates like a dream, so fun. So fun, that's why it's on this list. I highly recommend. And then this last one really isn't a new plant to my channel by any means. It is a Libicea species Rao, and really any Libicea. I'm really getting into the world of Libicea and Ardisia. There's so many cool varieties. The species Rao will always hold a special place in my heart. You know, it brought me into this world, and it brought me into this world. I made it sound, I made it sound like it gave birth to me. I meant it brought me into this plant realm. The species Rao will always hold a special place in my heart or anything. It is super vibrant. Where it is so vibrant, it's kind of a plant that I would think would be super hard to care for or need like very high humidity conditions, but it actually doesn't. I mean, the ones you're seeing on screen are in a terrarium, but I have kept them in my regular house humidity and they did fine. So it is a very surprisingly easy plant, especially for the payoff you get with how beautiful the foliage is. I do think it likes higher light. The lowest light I was ever able to keep one happy was next to a north-facing window. It is such a cool one. It is. I love it. I just went to go upload this video onto my computer and I realized I forgot one of the plants. I really wanted to talk about asparagus fern. This again is a plant I've had in the past, and for some reason when I moved I got overwhelmed and got rid of it, and I've regretted it for a while. I ended up getting one again recently. It's everything I remember it being and then some. It's so fluffy. It looks like a cloud. Like seriously, it looks like a cloud or like a mini tree, but not like a, I don't know, not like a regular tree, a very good looking tree. It is one of the only ferns I have successfully been able to keep for like long periods of time and that I feel confident keeping. It's super, super easy. It can tolerate a little bit lower light or a little bit higher light. You just gotta adjust the waterings like depending on how you change the light, if that makes sense. It's very tolerant as far as ferns go, in my opinion. It grows so cute. So initially it starts out as kind of this tree-like plant. Over time, it will shoot out longer and longer. I don't know what they're called, like longer and longer, what are they called? Are they leaves? Like the fern frond things? You know, those long things that ferns throw out and then they're kind of twisty on the end and then they untwist and it turns into a leaf somehow. It does that, and they get longer and longer and kind of go everywhere, but it's so unique because it's so like delicate and fine and like fluffy looking. I love this plant. I love this plant. A lot. I'm glad I thought to get one again because I kind of forgot about it for a while. So maybe you're in the same boat. Here's your reminder about asparagus fern. Yeah, those are all the plants I'm gonna talk about in this video. Please let me know what you think of my suggestions down below. Do you have any of these in your collection, or are you headed to Etsy right now to buy any of them? I gotta know. That is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!